Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Today I'm going to set up the Supra Focus, which is a new bow for PSE for 2019. It's a new target bow. And I want to just talk about setting it up and getting ready for target shooting, and then we're going to shoot it. So the first thing I fitted is a blade rest to the bow. Now I just fitted a cheap rest. So this rest sells for about $50. I fitted a sight to it. This is actually an expensive sight. It's an XL sort of sight. I fitted in the middle sort of position here, just as a rough guess. Now when I set up the arrow rest, it's dead down the center of the limbs, sorry, down the center of the riser, and my arrow's running straight down the line of my stabilizer. Now I don't know if this is going to be the right spot or not. It's where I start from. I run the arrow straight through the center of that plunger hole there, which should be the center of this bow. So I run the arrow a little bit above 90 degrees. Just that first mark on the T-square, that's where I set my sight to. So what I do, now I've set up a stabilizer here, so I'm going to explain that because someone asked about it. So I've just got a long rod. Which size you go for really doesn't, when I say it doesn't matter, the longer you go for, the less weight you need. So if you want to put a lot of weight, then you'd have a shorter stabilizer. If you want less weight, you'd have a longer stabilizer that have the same effect. What a stabilizer does is basically stop you from moving around. So you want as much weight as you can basically get further away that you can hold. Now, if you can only shoot 1 ounce of weight, that's all you can shoot, that's fine. Now I've got a rear stabilizer on the back. Now what I found when I'm adding weight to this is I'm fitting the same weight to the front as to the back. So if I fit 7 ounces to the back, I've got 7 ounces to the front. Now with the Supra Focus, this is a deflex riser, deflex riser. So what that means is these limbs are in line with this handle here. So it changes the balance. So with this bow, I've put in 7 plus 4, 11 ounces at the front. So this is significantly more than I normally shoot. And this bow is 1.5 pounds lighter than the PSE Perform that I shoot, even though I've got an extra 4 ounces here at the front. And it's lighter because at the back here I've actually got less because of the balance of the bow. So overall this bow weighs 1.5 pounds lighter. So with this, I haven't fitted a peep sight yet, and we're going to do this on the video to show you how I align peep sights. Because I get questions about how you get the peep turning, so we're going to do that. But before I do a peep sight, I just want to get a feel for how this bow's shooting. I want to get a feel for how the bow's feeling to me and how the shot's coming out, how the stabilizers are feeling before I worry about peep sights. It's just what I do. So we're going to have a shot now. I haven't shot this bow since I fitted the sight and the blade rest to it and the stabilizers as they are. I just want to get a feel. So that's what we're going to do now. And then after that, we're going to fit a peep. And after that, we're going to check to see how I shoot with it. So that's the purpose of this video. Okay, so this is my first shot with a target set up with the Supra. I'll just go through all my assortment of release aids. Now the Supra Focus, since it's been in my shop 3 weeks, and it's been very successful with sales, like very successful. I've had a whole heap of people come in and try the thing. So for me, it's been a huge surprise about how much interest there's been in this bow. And the people who I've sold them to have had huge, when I say huge success, it's only been 3 weeks, but what they found is as soon as they grabbed the bow, it paper tuned perfectly, straight out of the box, shot bullet holes, and people shot really good scores pretty much the first time they grabbed the bow. So I was really impressed, so that's why I'm pretty keen to sort of try this bow out. Now, things I'm really liking about this bow before we start, I'm really liking the fact that I can put more weight down the end of the stabilizer here and have a bow which is physically lighter. So to me, that's really cool. So let's twang a shot down and let's see how this goes. Now, to start off with, the draw length is too long for me, so I'm going to shorten the draw length down by 1/2 inch. Now that's really simple on the Supra, just rotate the modules. Now with this stabilizer, with the amount of weight I've got, which is 11 ounces, I got a little bit of vibration at the stabilizer. So I'm going to look at that for this next shot. So but the bow itself feels pretty dead in the hand when I shoot it. I'm getting a little bit of vibration in the end of the stabilizer, but it feels pretty good. Right, so I'm getting to the stage where I'm pretty happy with the balance of the bow. So like when you go to try out a bow and you're setting it up, just have a few shots and just go, oh, do I want to go shorter, longer draw length? How's the balance feeling? Do I need to add more weight to the front? Do I need to add more weight to the back? Now weights come in 7 ounces, 4 ounces, 2 ounces, 1 ounce. I've got a 4 and a 7 on the front, and 2 and a 4 and a 7 on the back, I think. So yeah, so that's, but you can just, you know, doesn't need 1 or 2 ounces. It feels pretty good. So let's just have a look again. Look, the bow's not really moving in my hand, so I'm pretty comfortable with that weight. So I'm happy with the weight of the bow. I've got to shorten the draw length, and then I'm going to fit a Peep Sight. So now what I want to do is I want to go down the range and have a look at the position of the arrows in the target. I don't know where they went because I haven't sighted this bow in. I'm more interested in how they're flying straight up, because I sort of shoot the bow a little bit first to get used to the bow before I paper tune. So my steps are: I fit the RRS, fit the Peep Sight, I fit the RRS, fit the stabilizers, I have a couple of shots, check my draw length, and after I've got my draw length and the stabilizers all configured right, then I fit my Peep Sight. I then get my rotation on my Peep Sight correct, and then after I shoot the bow for a bit, that's when I then try, you know, paper tuning or bare shaft tuning. But I'll actually shoot some scores first before I do the paper tuning and bare shaft tuning. But what I want to do is I want to look at the angle of the arrows in the target. I mean, most times when I just set up a bow just straight out with the RRS straight down the middle and the arrow at 90 degrees, it's pretty perfect. So let's go and have a look at where the arrows are. Okay, so I'm up here at the target. These are the 3 arrows I shot. They're really close together, in a line straight up and down. The arrows look like they're facing straight back. I'm not getting left and right movement, so that would tend to suggest to me that my left and right position on the arrow rest is correct. There is a little bit difference up and down, but I'm not worried about that yet because I don't have my draw length established. And that's the first 3 shots I've taken with this bow, and I'm happy with the way the bow feels. So change the draw length, now fit a Peep Sight. So that's my next step. Happy with that. So far it's been great. Okay, so I've adjusted the draw length on the bow. I've made it 1/2 inch shorter, which is really easy with the PSE cam system. You just rotate the module. You do not need a bow press. Each letter is 1/2 inch. And all you do is rotate it. So I've now moved to position F, and I think I was on position E. So I've just gone 1/2 inch shorter. Now to fit the Peep Sight, you need a bow press. It's no use trying to jam one of those screwdrivers into your string, you're just going to damage it. Now what I've done is I've measured the distance of my Peep Sight on my old bow, from my D loop to where the Peep Sight is. And on my old bow, the Perform, it's 6 inches exactly. Now the Supra is 37 inches, so it's a little bit shorter. So that means the Peep Sight's going to be up a little bit further on the string. So I'm just going to set it up a little bit above 6 inches. Now the size of the Peep Sight, and the Peep Sight I'm going for is a true Peep. These are made out of aluminium. They're pretty affordable, and Specialty make a Peep Sight which you can adjust. You can adjust the apertures, but the cost of the apertures, let's say, is $18. The cost of this Peep Sight, let's say, is $12. The advantage of the specialty peep is you can fit lenses to it and you can change it on the day depending on the light. For me, I'm just going something simple for this setup, and we're just fitting one of these because it's nice and simple. How do I know which size to get? I don't until I fit it to the bow and actually try it. 1 1/16, I didn't go for the smallest, I went for 1 up. The size of the peep you pick, the size of the hole, will depend on the size of your scope, how far out the scope is on the bow, how far the peep is from your eye. But as a rough gauge on selecting peeps, 1 1/16 to me is going to be a good guess for the size of the scope I use. I use about a 29mm scope. So I'm guessing 1 1/16. I could be wrong, but we're going to try it and we're going to sort of see. Now with the PSE, to fit the peep, you've got this little thing in the string. You just pull on it and that will split the string in half. So it splits the string, and now I'm going to just move my fingers down and I'm going to measure to 6 inches. 6 inches. I'm going to measure to about there. And I'm going to fit the peep in the string. Now with the peep aligning, getting the peep aligning, I'm not worried about this at this stage. I'm just trying to get it in the string and sort of see how it all fits and have a feel. So at this stage, I'm not really worried about the peep alignment. We'll worry about that later. Because first off, we have to get the height right with my eye. So I just measure it and I'm going to get it to, let's say 6 1/4. I'm just going to move it down a smidge. Smidge more, about there. So I fitted this, now I can get rid of this little cord, and now we're going to try it out and see how we go. The PSE Supra, you can use just a portable bow master press from home, fit it to the limbs, easy as, simple bow to work with. A simple cheap press will work. You do not need a shop bow press to do this exercise. Okay, so I'm back in the range and now I'm trying to test. So this is my peep sight here. I'm trying to test the height of this peep sight in relation to the D-loop. Now you'll see my D-loop spun around. That's just through fitting the peep sight. So I'm going to twist the D-loop back to square. So it's square with the string. And the peep sight, surprisingly enough, is pretty much in the perfect position. So now when I test this, I always test it with an arrow. Because if something goes wrong, let's say you fire your trigger, you're not going to blow up your bow. So many people will go, oh, I'm fine, I'll pull it back without the arrow in the bow. They pull it back and then they just forget and they dry fire their bow. So rule of thumb, I always have an arrow in the bow as I draw it back. That way if something goes wrong, it really doesn't matter. So I draw it back, get my anchor position in my face. Now for me, there, I'm not getting it locked into my face enough on the side. So I can see through the peep, but I'm basically bringing this away from my face a little bit. I want this locked into my jaw. So I lock these two fingers into my jaw like that. I want that in nice and solid. So with that, I'm going to move the peep down just a smidge. And hopefully it's kind of moved to a position where I'm feeling comfortable. Now to me that position feels really comfortable. I'm going to take the shot. Like, would I want it in? I don't think I want it up further. So if I was to move the peep further down, I'm going to move my hand further into my face. And to me that would be putting too much pressure on my jawline, so I'm pretty comfortable with the peep in that position. I'm just going to take another shot. Now you notice I can shoot the bow without the peep being tied in. So when people's peeps come out of their string, generally means they've dry fired their bow. Now, just on my final point when I'm setting this thing up. The one thing I always rave about with PSE is the ability to adjust your draw length. If I don't mention it, it needs to be mentioned. So let's say my draw length is right now 28.5. To me, this bow is feeling a little bit long for me. I feel like I'm stretching out, and I like to bend my front arm a little bit in the shot. I feel like I want to drop this front shoulder a little bit. So for me, I think I'm going to try this 1/2 inch shorter. And this is the advantage of the PSE with the rotating modules. It just makes life simple. With other bows, you have to go and buy a module, or if it's a fixed length draw length, you're buggered. So for me, the rotating module is just almost a must on bows. It makes it simple for shops, makes it simple for customers, and it makes it great for resale. Now, looking through the peep, it's easier to do a peep, determining whether you've got the right diameter for the peep outside. But right now my scope is crystal clear, which is great. I can actually see the target. Normally my scope is blurry. So I'm really happy about how clear it is. The bigger the peep hole, the peep size, the less clear your lens will be. So the smaller the peep, the clearer your lens, the clearer your scope. I'm just going to fire one more shot because I think I want this bow shorter. Now you see how it's bouncing? So it's bouncing the draw because I'm not pulling it back smooth enough. So I need to pull this bow back smoother. So I think I'm happy with the peep position. I think I'm going to go 1/2 inch shorter in the draw. And now we're going to tie this peep in. And I'm going to show you how I tie it in. I've got several ways of tying a peep sight in. But I'm going to tie this in so it's set and cannot move. So someone can't go and move it out. It can't flick out of the string. If you were to dry fire the bow, I'm going to tie it in so it can't move, and I'm going to show you how I do that. And shorten the draw length, and then I'm going to shoot some arrows, and we're going to see what the grips are like and see if I can hit some 10s. Okay, so I've adjusted the Supra to G. So I've shortened the module down an extra 1/2 inch, and the reason why I want to shorten the draw length is I like a lot of back tension, so between my shoulder blades. So basically what you want to do is pull your back together, and I'd say pop out your chest. So the tension between your shoulder blades is what's important for me in the feel of the shot. I want the release to come off strong. If I don't have the pressure, if the draw length's too long for me, when I release the shot, it's going to be a weak shot. So I'm looking for that tighter shot. So sometimes I will shoot a shorter draw length than you commonly expect. But I find I shoot better with a shorter draw length than a longer draw length. Right, so the distance between the peep, the peep and the D-loop is slightly longer than 6 inches. So 37 inches versus 40 inches, it was 6, I don't know about inches, but it's just like 1 mark above the 6 inch mark. So it's very, very close. Now I'm going to show you how I tie it to peep. Now the first thing I'm going to show you is the angle. So that's the angle of the peep. You can see the angle's out there. I want this peep to be angled there. So when I do the tying of this peep, I'm going to try and encourage the peep to turn to that direction. Because if I can get it so it's correct, like I could shoot just then, but now it's twisted a little bit. And I was shooting fine out there. So I'm going to just try and twist it and encourage the turn so the peep is lined up, because that'll save me twisting it on the bow press. I'll probably have to press it anyway on the bow press, but that's what I try and do. Now I'm using just normal string material to do the tying. Dental floss, which you just get from your chemist, works really well. In white, it will turn clear. It's very strong, it's cheap, so you do not need to buy string material. I like string material because it's very thin. It's about the same thickness as dental floss. Now the first thing I need is a little piece, and this is going to be for my loop at the end to finish off my to finish off my tying. Right, so I've just got a piece of the string. Now the first thing I do is I put the piece of string through, I'm going to try and zoom up, through there like that. Now what I do is I lay it down and then I'm going to serve straight on top of that. So I'm just going to twist it around and around on top of that. Now I need to do it a couple of times before I apply tension. And I'll show you what that looks like now. Try and zoom up. There. See how it looks? So now I'm going to pull, I'm going to keep continuing on that. I'm going to keep continuing on that pattern until I start getting close to the actual peep sight. And this is about where I stop, at about that position there. And now I go round and round one of the sides. I'll show you what I've done. So I go round and round one of the sides, just there. And now I wrap around the peep sight itself. Now I do not do this for bows in my shop unless the archer is specific that's the spot where the peep sight goes. Because if you want to make an adjustment to the peep sight doing this method, you've got to cut the whole thing off and sort of start again, and it takes you probably longer to cut the thing off than it does to actually tie it. So for customers and all that in the shop, I just do a tie above and a tie below, and then you can adjust the peep. Now I'm going to show you what I just did. So I went round and round the peep sight. I'll hopefully try and zoom in. There, round and round the peep sight. Now I'm going down the, there's the one there and there's the other side. So I go down the opposite side. Just one more. Okay, so now I get, I'm still holding this end, so now I get that pattern there. And now what I do, the loop, the little, this is going to be a loop. I lay that on the string. So the loop, I lie on the string and I serve around the loop. I'm going to show you that. Just there. So I'm served straight on top of the loop. There. Now I thread the serving straight through the loop. Like so. Crunch. Like so. And I pull on the other two ends. So it's going to pull the serving through on itself. So now the finished string looks like that. And now I pull on that. So I pull on that, and that's nice and tight. Now I cut it. So I need a pair of scissors. And you'll see I've got a little tag, and with that little tag I apply the cigarette lighter just to burn off the end to make it nice and clean. Make sure you don't get the cigarette lighter near the string, otherwise you will burn your string and damage your string. So I actually don't have the flame touch, it's just close to it, and that's enough to burn off the end. So that's the finished product right there. Now you'll see the peep is still twisted to the side. So I'm probably going to have to put it on the bow press to twist that peep, and I'll show you how I do that. But the first thing is to take it on the range, and let's have another shot, see how the peep sight pulls back. We're going to check the draw length again, and hopefully we're getting close. So the first thing you're going to notice is the D loop is not straight. It's off to the side. Now I don't like it out to the side, so I'm going to straighten it up. So I'm just going to twist it back. And you'll notice the peep sight is pointed to the side. So we've got to see how this thing pulls back. See if there's any rotation in the string. Otherwise we've got to put it in the bow press. So part of this drawing back is to check the draw length, because I've shortened it by 1/2 inch, and to check if that peep is twisting. Look, I could see through the peep. I think it's probably a little bit twisted, but I couldn't see because I could see through the peep. I could see down the target clearly. So this time, the draw length to me felt better, 1/2 inch shorter. I felt more pressure on the back of my shoulder blades. This thing feels like a rocket when it goes off, and I didn't even notice the peep sight then. So let's have another look at the peep sight this time. So I'm just going to pull the bow back, and I'm just going to look at the angle of the peep when I get it back. Yeah, so when I get it back, it's actually not a bad angle. So there's a slight bit of rotation there. Look, it's not completely square with my eye, but I can see through down there clear enough that it kind of makes me wonder whether I should rotate the peep. But I'll do it for the camera so you can sort of see what I do. I'm just going to fire another arrow because I want to fire another arrow. I've got to get smoother with drawing it back. Now I'm using a standard fixed blade rest. Normally I use the Premier rest. Feels pretty stable. Weights are moving. It feels pretty good. Okay, let's go and see where the arrows are, and then I'm going to show you how to move the peep sight, and then we're going to shoot some arrows and see where they go. Okay, so I'm up here at the target. I fired 4 arrows. You can see 3 are touching, and this little one here is just off just a smidge. Now the sight setting is obviously across that way, needs to go up a little bit. But that grouping, 4 arrows, it could not be any tighter than that, and I'm pretty happy and I'm feeling pretty confident with the bow at the moment. So let's show you how to rotate the peep sight. Okay, so I'm putting the bow in the bow press. I've still got everything on it. Now, adjusting a peep sight can be anywhere from instant fixed to 1 hour you spend with it. Depends how picky the customer is, depends how lucky you are to get the peep rotation correct. So for me, when people go, oh, can you fit a peep sight, how much are you going to charge me? I'm like, oh, man, I've got no idea because of the rotation. Sometimes I can just get it like that, and sometimes I can literally be here for an hour. So now it's a little bit that way, so I move the string back this way. Now when you pull off strings and to do the peep sight timing, up here closer to the peep is a big movement, down here is a little movement. So the peep was pretty close for me, like it was just a little bit not square. So I generally always work down the bottom here, little movements. So I just take the string off. You can see I don't have the bow under a lot of tension. So I take the string off, and I'm holding the string in place. the way it came off the bow. Now I want the string to turn back this way, so I give the string half a twist. You can see it's up the top, and now I reposition this loop so it's got half a twist taken off of the string. And I hope that works. Now generally it won't, so you've always got to shoot the shot because the string has to resettle in and it's got to kind of resettle itself. Now you can see without the, I don't know if you can see, but here the Peep Sight now without the tension on is slightly pointing this way. But when I take the tension off, I'm guessing it's going to move back, and it didn't. It's sat still there. So now the Peep Sight is actually facing more this way. Before it was over that way a bit. But I won't know until I shoot a few shots on how this is looking. So basically I take the bow out and we shoot a few shots and we see. So that's the position of the Peep Sight there now. We'll try and zoom up. You can see it's pretty much in line. You can see the D-loop's kicked off to the side. So now I line up the D-loop. So if you want to get minor adjustment on a Peep Sight rotation, do it with a D-loop. Simple, just move it across left or right just by a little bit and that will move your Peep Sight. But that's looking pretty good. Now that last end, my arrows were high, so I'm going to move my sight up a little bit and a little bit across to the left. So I'm actually going to move the whole, I'm going to move this whole sight block across this way a little bit. But I was really happy with the group. That may have been too much. Right, so that's all on. Peep Sight tied in. Make sure before you pull back the bow, you make sure everything's on, like that cable was off. Make sure the strings are on the cams, because if you draw the bow back, the strings are off, it's going to pop and create lots of damage. So sometimes when you've got customers in the shop and people are waiting, you feel a bit under pressure, the phone's ringing and you can make a mistake. So it's always preferable to me to have time to do this stuff so I'm not under a rush, I don't feel pressure. Now on the D-loop itself, this is just a standard D-loop. I haven't put ties above and ties below. Now, there's an argument that it's better with ties above and ties below. So you put like 5 ties below and 3 points above, because then the D-loop will pull square. Now you'll see on this one, the D-loop's almost square. You can see it's slightly pushing upstairs. Now it's almost square on this bow because the arrow's dead in the center of the string. Most bows are not dead in the center of the string, so you get an upwards pull motion. So with the PSE Performs and the Supras and the shoot downs, less important I'd say to put ties in. I have put ties in some of my bows before, but generally not. I just use a standard D-loop like that. Is there going to be a point improvement if I did ties? Look, if I aim it in the middle, the arrow goes in the middle. The problem's me. If I aimed in the middle and the arrow didn't go in the middle, then I'd absolutely look at the different types of tie-in systems. But for me, it's all me. Like if I aim that thing in the middle and I press the button in the middle, it goes in the middle. So, all right, let's go and see if the Peep Sight's all lined up. So if you're going into an archery shop to buy a bow, and you know the bow you want, because a lot of people might take a few hours to pick a bow out. So you know the bow you want. It can still take, you know, a good hour to 2 hours to set up the bow to get you out of there, and often there's a bit of coaching involved, that you got to coach the person, so it can still be a timely exercise. I'm just checking out the alignment, so let's see where this goes. Let's check out the peep. Now you've got to shoot the first shot before you check the peep alignment, because this string has been taken out of its track, so it's got to find its natural position. That's pretty close to perfect. I had no idea where it goes down there, but that's pretty close to perfect. It's a little bit kicked around this way, to the left, but for me, I'm not that fussy. I've got to get better at drawing that bow back. Now, when the Supra first got released, I did a video on this bow. I don't know if you saw it, but I said, "Oh look, I think this bow is going to be a disappointment to me." And when I did the video, I went, "Wow, this is pretty impressive." After doing that video, I was on a PSE forum and I saw Dan Jasser. He's a shooter for PSE. He's a sales rep for PSE. He shot this bow at the Nationals, the US Nationals. He shot a 356 out of a 360, the highest score shot at the US Nationals. He beat his personal best by 12 or 15 points on the first time he shot this bow. And this is $1,000 US bow, 1375 Australian. So it's not half the price of the Perform, but it's significantly cheaper, and their top shooter's shooting it. So, well, one of their top shooters. Yes, Stefan Hansen's not shooting it, but my point being that what he said was the bow aims a little bit better because of the deflex riser design. So he was really impressed, so I felt a bit better afterwards. I felt a bit better afterwards about the bow and doing that review, because, and now when pros shoot bows, you can take what they say with a grain of salt, but the scores are there. If his scores improved by 15 points, that is a lot for an elite shooter. 15 points is huge. I mean, if I could improve my shooting by 15 points, it would be huge. And I'm shooting cheap arrows. So let's say I shot X10s or the Carbon Express Nano arrows, and let's say that could improve my score by 10 points. Well, I'd be world champion. So 10 points at the top is a huge amount of improvement. And I think he did 15 from memory. Now for a beginner, you can vary your scores by 50, 100 points. But for the elite archer, they vary their scores by very little. I mean, yeah, given on the day, you can vary your scores because of the weather. But your scores tend to be very consistent. Now, I mean, what I'm feeling in this... Something's loose. I don't know what's loose. What I'm feeling with this, I'm feeling for my back tension in my shot. So I'm saying, is this hand coming back when I shoot? Is the tension in the shot good? So I'm actually feeling the bow, I'm feeling the technique. Is things the way I want them to feel? So watch my backhand when I shoot. So I want this hand to come flying back. That means I've got tension in my back. And when the shot's triggered, it's falling away, and that's what you want. And that's what you want to feel. God, let's hope those arrows are in the middle. Okay, so I'm up here at the target. That's my group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can definitely get all my fingers around it. The arrows are still slightly high and slightly to the right. So now I've just got to move my sight to the right a little bit. And this end, let's see if I can put them all in the middle. I'm feeling really, the bow to me is feeling really good. It's feeling really stable. I feel like I'm executing good shots out of the bow. So I've got a camera down range right next to the target. So if I shoot an 8, I'm shooting a $3,000 camera. So that'd be really disappointing for me if I shoot the camera. It'll probably be very entertaining for the viewers, but I'll probably put the camera a little bit close, so anything to the right of the gold in the 8th zone, I shoot the camera, which would be very disappointing. I don't know if I just overcompensated my sights for that, but yeah, that's she's close. Anyway, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling good about this. I don't think I'm going to throw an arrow to the 8. I think they're going to go in the middle. So I'm at 18 meters. I'm just going to move my perform out the way, which is nothing against my perform. I'm just moving it out the way so I can get a little bit further to the left. Okay, let's see how this goes. So we're going to try and put down 6 arrows in the target, and that is so it is so nerve-wracking to have the camera right next to the target. I'm normally quite relaxed. I'm like, don't stuff up, don't stuff up. Oh man, talk about stupid. I've never been overly bright, but oh man. Okay. I'm definitely aiming a little bit to the left. I'm overcompensating for the camera there, and my brain's going, don't aim at the camera, don't aim at the camera. Brings me back to when I was young and my dad had a field range. He'd set up these targets straight behind trees. When I say straight behind, the tree was on the left side or the right side of the target, and those trees got hammered by arrows because everyone would be aiming at the tree. They were worried they were going to hit the tree. As a result, their brain would be like tree, 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 and they'd be shooting the tree instead of shooting the target. Now, if that tree was not there, they would never hit that tree. Those trees got hammered by arrows. Now, I developed a bit of a shake in that one at the end. So, interesting, but I was feeling really good till that little shake came in, but like, that's okay. Now, if you do get that where the arrow comes off of the blade rest, it can be through arrow pinch, which is the D loop touching the nock. So sometimes it is through the bow feels nice to shoot. I'm not feeling any vibration, and I'm not feeling the vibration, the stabilizer that I felt on my very first shot. So I'm just going to run through my shot sequence. I get my hand in position and I apply pressure to the string to get my hand in the correct position. I then pull back, aiming at the target, and all I'm moving is this arm. I then get my anchor point, and then I start my shot sequence. And basically that shot sequence is basically pull, 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 and hope it goes off in the middle. But the key is consistency. You've got to do the same thing every single time. Get your hand position. Apply tension to the hand grip. Aim at the target. That one I aimed slightly low on the 10, but should still be a 10. Last shot. So I've got no idea where they're going. So that was pretty good. I just want to fire one more. I know I said that was the last shot. I was just thinking about the difference between V-bars and the one sidebar I have here. I feel with the V-bars, I'm more stable than the one sidebar as far as the left to right, as far as the bow moving at the top. I just feel a little bit more stable. So I will probably fit V-bars to this bow. So get the hand grip right. And I'm pulling that off the rest enough, and I'm just going to show you my D. You can see how close the D loop is to the nock. So I'm kind of almost thinking I should apply the ties to this to stop that pinching. Now when you hear stuff on your bow, see that's the weights at the back. So when you hear a noise on your bow, always check it. Because if those modules come loose, there's a lot of vibration through a bow. Now this has come loose on me a couple of times since shooting this video. So if that's going to come loose, you've got to put plumber's tape or a little bit of glue on that thread to stop that coming loose. But overall, I really like this bow. At this stage, I intend to shoot this in the state championships over the Perform. But before I make that choice, I'll actually shoot both, and I'll start shooting scores with both bows. I'll have them both set up, and I'll be shooting scores, and I'll see which one I shoot the highest score with, and that's the bow I'll be shooting the championships with in a couple of months' time. So, but this feels pretty good. Let's go and check the group. And you can... Okay, so I'm just going to show you how close the camera was. So there's the camera just there. So it was like super close to the gold. But that's fine. Okay. Okay, so this is my group, and I can't see from back there, so you've got a better idea than me. So that group, obviously my sights are off to the left, but I have got one there. That one arrow wouldn't have been a 10. That was a low 9. I think that's probably the arrow I said I aimed slightly low, but you would know that. I don't know the one I said I aimed slightly low. I know I was aiming on the 9-10 ring. When it kind of went off, I felt like the bow dropped a little bit, and that's when the trigger occurred. But the rest, like, I feel pretty comfortable with this, and I haven't tuned the bow. I feel like I could shoot a perfect score with this bow straight now from shooting this bow. Now with all bows, that's not the case, and it can be for a number of reasons. You may not get groups like this straight out of a bow, straight out of the box, because the bow might be physically heavier. So if the bow is physically heavier than the bow you're used to, it takes you a while to build up the strength for that bow. This bow is physically lighter than the last bow I was shooting, so I'm not going to have a problem with the weight of the bow. I haven't been shooting much in the last 2 weeks, so I did have a little bit of a shake thing happening. But overall, like, I'm pretty happy with that group. It's pretty good for you saw how many arrows I shot with this bow, and that's a pretty impressive little group, I think, as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, that's the Supra Focus. I really like it, and now the bow's set up, and it's just a matter of I'm definitely going to fit V-bars, because I felt like there was a little bit of that thing happening at the top, which may or may not be happening, maybe in my head. But that's what I felt, so I think I'm going to put V-bars on it, because I generally shoot V-bars. And then I'm going to go and shoot some scores with it and shoot some scores with my Perform, which I am happy with, and see which one shoots the higher scores. And I'll probably do a video to explain which one shoots the higher scores of them, because that kind of interests me, which ones I shoot better with. I suspect I'm going to shoot similar scores with both bows, but look, this bow feels really comfortable to me, and I like the idea of more weight on the stabilizer too to stabilize me. So anyway, I'm Stephen Ham from Archery Supplies. The more you shoot, the better you'll shoot, and the really important thing is to focus on one thing at a time with your shop sequence. It's no use going, oh, if I buy a new sight, that will help. Work on your shop sequence, work on the grip, work on the back tension, work on keeping the shoulder down, work on anchor point, work on release. You have to work. At the moment, I'm working on physical fitness. So I'm running, walking on treadmills. I'm lifting weights to try and become stronger so my body doesn't hurt. And I'm trying to improve my lung capacity so I can hold more air in my lungs and I don't become out of breath. So always working, always trying to improve. Thank you for watching and have a great day.